through the big dogs first. As the draft first phase concludes, looks like this first pick might be an Ashe. Just something to be flexed between both Tomo and Isles. We know that just great utility with the global ultimate to make those picks happen in the early and the mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. It does feel like mostly we've been seeing Ashe's support. You know, there has been some AD, but yet more support, you know, thus far in pro play. It is definitely a flex pick, is definitely something that is really strong. Although it does feel like it's fallen down in priority a little bit on this patch. People are a little bit less worried about the pick overall. You can see Karma getting banned out, as it was banned out almost every game yesterday, just the one that was left up, and it was actually grabbed for support. Nocturne, another mainstay on the ban page, Rumble as well. So a lot of pretty standard stuff. Will be interesting to see where Dig goes next, because we do have Varus Ksante on the other side. And Varus has been kind of a bit of a mixed bag. We've been seeing some lethality. We saw some on-hit yesterday from B-Boy. I thought he performed pretty well individually, but it does feel like a lot of the Varus games, they're struggling to make it work unless you have a really good, I think, kind of secondary threat. You know, you have a really high consistent DPS mid laner or something. I feel like Varus isn't really working out most of the time. Yeah,
I know during the preseason when all the pros were on Champs Queue, Varus was kind of looked at as the staple bot laner to pick because he uses the lethality items really well, but always has that flexibility to go into on-hit builds. But you're absolutely right that Varus often finds himself in these team fights where he's getting outspaced or he's getting threatened, and he doesn't have a real strong way to always be the consistent or the leading DPS for these teams. 100 Thieves probably have to pair something with Quid there to make sure that Meech is not left trying to be the sole primary damage dealer for this squad. Meanwhile, for Dignitas, as they rounded out the Jhin, tons of utility from this bot lane between Tomo and Isles. Very strong pushing lane as well. And then more than likely this Poppy will go to eXyu. You can use that to enable some strong dives if you want to punish that bot lane early, which has been a lot of the core strength from Tomo and Isles this early season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Poppy definitely flexible, can go top lane as well, has some pretty good matchups. You know, against Ksante, it would be kind of just a farm lane. So if eXyu sees an angle for a better pick later, they could obviously flex that around. But Senna as well as the Varus, so very strong laning duos down in the bottom lane. It's 4 ADCs in the bot lane. It does make things pretty aggressive, pretty spicy. You know, generally when one team really gets ahead down there, it can be difficult to come back.
Yeah.
Both sides also with pretty decent engage, you know, from those ADCs. Obviously there's Ashe on one side, Varus ult on the other. And I'm kind of going to be excited to see how these guys perform, because there's some young players down in those bot lanes. And I think the expectations are fairly high for guys like Meech, for guys like Tomo. Tomo and Isles were doing really, really well in Champions Queue, so a lot of people were kind of talking about that. Meech obviously was doing very well in NACL, so there's some kind of expectations there. But I think both these bot lanes have been relatively quiet. Most of the discussion has been around, you know, the solo laners, the junglers, I think, for both these squads.
Yeah, both Dove and Quid have been honestly pleasant surprises in the early season. Dove had an incredible couple of games, and obviously in their first win when he played the Corki after eXyu gave him that bit of a head start against Mask. And then in the game, even though they lost it, there was that almost 1v9 moment on the Azir. He picked up the Quadra, almost seemingly bringing that game back from the brink of a loss. Whereas for Quid, also having some better performances as well. And I think that's important for 100 Thieves, because Quid is the only returning member for this squad. And 100 Thieves, I think Jungle Juice was very adamant about, we believe in this guy. We just know that he came in a little late and the adjustment period takes a long time. I'm honestly glad that they are sticking with him and already starting to see the resemblance of some results paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I talked to Golden Blue. I talked to all the coaches prior to the season actually starting, and one of the things he was talking about was he thinks Quid is a lot better than what he showed on stage last split. That a lot of it is to do with nerves, is to do with actually getting comfortable on stage, that he's one of their best performers in scrims. He's someone that they're really confident, you know, can develop. So I am glad as well that they are giving him that time. I think especially when you're going to be importing really young players that haven't played in tier 1 leagues, haven't played, you know, a lot of time, you have to give them some development time. You have to give them some lead-in time. You can't just give them one split and then say, you weren't the best, let's get rid of them. I don't think it's really fair. It is going to be the Azir getting grabbed up here for Quid, and Corki has already been banned out, so not going to be there as an answer. Akali is something that is relatively popular these days as an answer into it. There's also some of the kind of counter picks that we saw last year, things like Yone. You can obviously go some of the range counter picks like Xerath and stuff like that. I think that stuff all works, but it's just not really that common in pro because most players aren't comfortable playing those style of champions. So it wouldn't be at all surprised to see the Akali just get locked in.
And depending on what Dignitas's last pickup is, River is still waiting to select his jungler of choice. Now, on the waiting room, we discussed a lot about things like Armeo's performance on the Lilia, really strong into melee compositions or backliners that don't really punish Lilia as hard. For Jhin and Ashe, it's hard to get consistent lockdown against someone like Lilia because all your CC is skill shot reliant. Oh, and the flex Poppy Top comes into play, and now eXyu has a little bit of extra hard commit diving power, and that's really great with something like an Akali who is going to be committing with you in those dives.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on the other side, 100 Thieves, again, is very light on engaged. I will say this has been pretty common, I feel like, of their drafts, is that they have been really light on engage in a lot of their games. So we'll see what the final pick is going to be, but it's going to be Trundle. So Trundle getting locked in here, does set up for poke. I'm expecting it to be Lethality Varus. When you have that paired with the Azir, that does make some sense. Obviously, the Trundle can help to disengage, can help to set up for that poke as well with the pillar. But that has been one of the struggles, I think, of 100 Thieves in a number of their games. When I'm looking back at some of the drafts, it's something that I do think they, at times, had those difficulties with, where they didn't have, hard engage buttons. They didn't have those ways to always start the fights, right when they would want. But we'll see if this one is going to work out for them. I think, if you're playing this from ahead, it's going to be fairly easy to play out. But if you do fall behind, there's not a lot of opportunity to actually pick people off with 100 Thieves draft. And on the other side, you have such easy go buttons with the Vi, with the Akali to follow that up, to try to dive into the back line, kill off some of these squishy members here. A lot of easy targets there. If Dove can have a good game, he could really get rolling because Senna, Varus, Azir are all prime targets for this Akali.
Pretty easy pickings for an assassin like Akali, and probably the most reliant. And even though we did see some Storm Surge nerfs going into our current live patch 14.2, Akali's still pretty oppressive to deal with once she gets ahead. And we've already seen how eXyu has been able to propel and set up Dove for success in the early mid game. It's going to be on Quid and River to make sure that not only Quid is being extra safe, but also River is paying extra attention to the mid lane and seeing if he needs to cover for any ganks.
So it's worth noting, Tomo, very defensive item buy here. So it is Boots 4-pot, and he is starting with the fleet as well. So he knows a lot of this lane is just going to be about dodging skill shots, dodging out, from those Varus Qs, the E's, from those Qs from Senna that are going to be shooting through the minions. You have to be able to survive in this setup. And Dig, looking like they want to set up a late invade here over towards the blue, or potentially even look to catch Meech, but he's positioned well in the pixel, so he can just walk straight down. Not going to be in any trouble.
Gonna get out of there just fine. No level 1 invade shenanigans either. It looks like the furthest ward that Dignitas were able to place was just right around that new blue buff wall that's outcircles it. It does give you vision of when the blue buff is started, but it doesn't give you vision if, let's say, River sneaks around through the bush and aggroes it towards him as well. But he's on this red buff start. We're going to see if he wants to go for a full clear, if he wants to try anything for a level top lane, like level 3 top lane clear. Otherwise, it could just be kind of match opposite clears for both of these junglers.
Yeah, it's getting kind of spicy down there already in the bottom lane. You can see heal on both sides has already been committed. The potion's going to start getting chugged up here as well. As Rich gets that fast level 2, did look for the stun on the wall, couldn't quite find the distance there, was just short, but yeah, this is a tough lane, I think, for Tomo and Isles. If it goes slow, you're just gonna kind of get whittled down with the additional sustain, the additional poke that this Senna Varus have. Every Q from that Senna is gonna be so health positive because it's not only chunking you down, it's healing them up. And you can see as a result, Isles already falling down on that HP a little bit. So we'll see if they can really make this work.
Yeah. A strong answer from Eyla in the draft, just being able to pick something that not only combats the push, but also gives you the sustain to match against it. River could find something here. He's in Fog. Duff has already used his Twilight Shroud, and that exposes the fact that he does not have Shuriken backflip, but looks like River's just snaking his way through towards the bottom lane instead. There's all this fog that Dignitas have no idea.
Oh, they're dead.
And yeah, this is definitely at least a flash, if not a guaranteed
they're
kill.
backing up. They're backing up. They know.
They felt something. The spider senses were tingling here. Isles is going to face check, and oh my god, there's a troll, and he's going to have to flash away. And now Isles is less happy about his current state of affairs.
Yeah, they do lose the flash, but at the very least, they don't die. If they didn't actually back off right then, they could have gone down. Could have been an easy first blood, but chat has voted. They want to watch top lane, so I think we're going to check in on top lane here a little bit. And I don't know why, because it's popping Ksante.
They just want to see the wet
sick.
noodle fight. All right, guys. Now watch this. Rich is prepping that grass proc, and at one point, he'll walk up and auto attack. That is my extent of top lane knowledge whenever... Oh, look, he got the grass.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Raafaa's
it's
a
insane.
genius. This is the top lane main. Yeah, I mean, these kind of matchups, a lot of poppy matchups is propping grass, but also playing around your passive, the buckler auto, right? So generally, you'll see when that buckler auto is up, Sniper is going to back off. He's going to try to not give you that free buckler, and he's going to force you to use that auto attack on a minion, so you waste that range trade.
Yeah.
It does additional damage. You can get that shield as well. And obviously you're getting that free grass proc. So Rich just constantly trading here. Poppy is one of these champions that, yeah, it's a tank, but people really do underestimate the damage if you haven't played a lot of top lane against it. There also are some really fun builds. I'm not expecting it, but Sundered Sky and stuff like this is actually quite popular in solo queue on the Poppy. So there's some pretty aggressive angles you can look for. eXyu, though, is pathing around. I don't think they're going to go for the dive, to be honest with you, but it would be cool.
There was an angle, but Rich pinged that Sniper backed up and more than likely put a ward down in this bush, which he did. So just pinging and letting eXyu know, it's like, hey, if you're going to go for anything, you can try to take Krugs, but just try to stay out of fog. Do not give 100 Thieves information that you're on the top side of the map. It ensures safety for Tomo and Isles to not get immediately countered by River on the bottom side.
Yeah, and you can see River still a little bit concerned about what might be going on up there, so he's heading up, trying to actually do those Krugs. Nice W from Rich, going to be able to stun up Sniper as he does dash in. But eXyu steals away at both these camps, and now could actually just cross back towards his Raptors if he wants. You can see that Isles is moving up to try to cover that. So it looks like he'll just be going down towards the Krug, but Dove is quite low, has the information that the Trundle is around.
I have to say, the vision game from Dignitas has been quite good this early few minutes so far. They have constantly been lighting up River's jungle whenever he is going to cross into the next section. So they had that early blue ward during the early parts of the game when he was getting ready to cross from red buff into the blue side of the map. And then as eXyu completed this invade, taking both Krugs and Raptors, he leaves a couple wards behind as well, making sure that they're always keeping tabs on River. Because one of the things about Trundle is when it comes to clear speed, he's not the fastest clearing jungle before you get that Tiamat as your first subcomponent if he wants to rush a Titanic Hydra. So it's really hard for him if he's not getting anything done aside from just farming. He's really powerful in those skirmishes and those gank setups.
Well, I actually really like this choice here from River. Like, his top games got taken. He didn't really have that much to do on the map right now, so he just goes straight over to Dragon, and he's actually just going to be able to take down the Dragon easy peasy.
Good alternate.
Knows that it would be a little bit of a risky move to actually go for the invade on the Raptors because he had been spotted on that move over. That was his initial play. That wasn't there. eXyu's covering the Krug top, so there's nothing he can really do besides go to that Dragon. And I think that's one of the things that always kind of impresses me about River is even when he's put in these awkward spots, he finds a way to make it work. That being said, eXyu's got to be really happy about his spot, has a much better buy, is up a couple camps already, and is going to have that XP lead. So we'll see if he can do anything with it.
Yeah, and if not anything, he's just going to get to level 6 a little bit faster than River, which will give him a window where he can make something explode on the map just much quickly, and River is not going to be able to have a strong answer for it. I'm surprised that they haven't really gone toward Grubs quite yet. I thought that when River went for that Dragon that there was an opportunity. Both Dove and Rich had pushed on their solo lanes respectively, but it just seems like eXyu is content just taking the farm lead for now.
Yeah, exactly. He's just really kind of focusing on that, and I think neither side was super comfortable to be able to actually start up those Grubs because top lane, both people were pretty low on resources. Mid lane, both mid laners are really low as well. So if you start up the Grubs and you don't have that kind of guaranteed team fight win or that guaranteed push, the other jungler shows up, all of a sudden you're low from taking the Grubs. Yeah. They can push you off, maybe they get free Grubs. So just kind of trying to take these guaranteed wins here. We'll be spotted out on that bot side, doesn't know who's in the brush, but knows Meech is hanging around now as it's going to be Eyla just working on this scuttle, trying to take it for himself. But honestly, eXyu should be able to move back up as his bot lane arrives, and it's just going to be Eyla kind of ending up leashing that a little bit for him.
Yeah, eXyu wasn't quite sure where the rest of 100 Thieves members were, so he didn't want to commit. But as soon as Meech and Eyla both realized that
really
eXyu knew, this could be difficult. eXyu is level 6, so he has cease and desist if he wants to lock down anyone that comes in range. And as soon as Tomo and Isles move forward, Quid backs up immediately.
Yeah, I mean, eXyu had no vision, so he's just playing it smart, right? Like, he really was worried about this potential, but Dove gonna get scooped in.
Dove is forced to flash over the Emperor's wall. Quid is just walking away. eXyu does not commit cease and desist because he knows that River is here. He's forced to flash away. Cease and desist right on back, but he is just gone. First blood goes over to Quid, and River's looking for more, but a shuriken backflip will keep Dove alive.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get their mid laner out, but at the end of the day, it's eXyu going down, not really respecting River's damage whatsoever. He was so late to react in that play. River just straight up walks up, pops the ulti, and is just smacking him down. And I can see the summoner spell's not updating, but both eXyu and Dove did use their flash. River used his flash as well, so those summoners are down. We'll get that fixed up for you as soon as we can, but here it is one more time. Quid, nice scoop, puts him back in the tower, so Dove has to flash out immediately, and eXyu just thinks, oh, okay, I'll just escort the wave in, I'll just walk it out. That's a lethal tempo. Trundle here with his ulti on you and a red buff. You cannot disrespect that guy. You have got to pay that respect over. Does not flash out until way too late, ends up having to use the ulti anyway, and he knows that is a pretty big mistake. You know, that is his lead completely gone, and now that's a freebie first blood given over to the Azir, which is not what you want to see.
Decent amount of damage. Dawning Shadow, not going to be enough to take out Eyla. Still has heal available if he needed it, but it's enough damage to force him off the turret, and that's going to give Meech and Eyla a little bit more freedom in this push.
Yep, and they have this really powerful bot lane 2v2. You land that Varus ulti. They're targeting Isles because Tomo has cleanse, right? So you're just going to go for the support. You're going to go for the Ashe. If you guarantee that one ulti hits, everything else is going to hit after. You're going to hit the Q from the Varus. You're going to hit the Q from the Senna. You're going to hit the W from the Senna. You're going to hit the ulti. It all just kind of works in conjunction like that. So not quite having the damage 100 to 0 Isles there, but nearly getting it. They do get a plate. They do have a CS advantage as well. You know, just about 2 full waves there as it is 11 CS. So going to be feeling really good about their spot. And again, red buff over on Quid, first blood over on Quid. He's been gifted a pretty nice spot thanks to that disrespect from eXyu and a good play from River.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the beginning of the game that if 100 Thieves find themselves in the lead or just kind of scaling along fine, then, you know, this Azir gets the power on up, the Varus gets to hit his items, and then you have decent front line set up. How do we feel about 100 Thieves' current position in this game?
I mean, I think they're looking really good, right? I think overall, they have Prio and bot, and Dove's going to die again mid.
He doesn't have perfect execution or flash available to get out alive. It's another kill that goes over to 100 Thieves.
Yeah, that is really, really good. They have that early dragon. They got a plate bot. They're getting a plate mid. They have first blood on their Azir, another assist. Quid 2 for 2 on hitting those ultis on Dove. So first one forced the flash. This one gets the kill. It's very nicely done. River just trying to escort this scuttle up away. And you can see things looking pretty solid here for 100 Thieves. I think as long as they're the first ones to the objectives, they're the ones setting up, and Dig has to fight into them, I think Dig is really going to struggle. You know, 100 Thieves doesn't really have a lot of hard engage. Varus ults, sure, but like this, I'm not really going to call it hard engage.
Ooh.
As flash is going to be forced there.
Yeah, the Varus ulti forces Isles to flash, and the Ashe arrow goes wide. That feels bad, man.
It definitely is. Isles, you know, was trying to hit Eyla. Again, he can't aim for Meech. Meech would have been the easier target, but Meech has cleanse, so it's not going to get that much done there. Unless you have a lot of CDR and you're just going to go for the kind of rinse and repeat, try to force cleanse, then kill later. But because eXyu was there, if you hit Senna, you can probably 100-0 Senna there. So did look for Eyla, but Eyla, you know, just pops the mist, pops that E, gets the additional move speed from that. And he has Swifty boots, by the way, so it's actually pretty difficult to be able to lock him down if he sees it coming. So a nice, easy sidestep from him. And now they're going to be starting up the dragon. Will be spotted, and Dove is on the move over here. Both top laners have TP available, so we'll see if they're going to look to use it, because Rich is basing. I think Rich might TP and they make a test.
Yeah, if Dignitas commit a lot of members to this, this could be a flip that decides the fate of the game. They go all in onto River. He secures the dragon, and he's already popped the subject gate. eXyu goes down before River is popped. Curtain call is going to be opened up by Tomo, looking for more damage. Dove has already popped Eyla in the backline. Sniper goes all out, isolates Dove, and takes him out. He's going to pop the blast cone back in, looking for Eyla. He knows he doesn't have flash. Commits his own, looks for the damage, but Rich saves his backliner before the arrow from Meech takes him out, and Rich is forced to flee.
Oh, very close fight there, back and forth. Quid thinking about it, maybe wanting a little bit more. It's a bit of a bloodbath there. 3 members on either side going down, but at the end of the day, it's River who secures the dragon. Some more things looking good here for 100 Thieves. I can see that fight one more time. I think the start was quite good for Dig because Rich was much faster on the TP. He had the push in top lane. That meant he had first base. He gets that TP down towards this fight. Very clearly, Dignitas wanted to look for the scrap. You could see Dove coming around from that top side, looking to flank in the backline, putting pressure on them. So he goes in onto Quid and Eyla, putting pressure on them, while the rest of his team is actually just bursting down that Trundle in that front line. But we're back to live, and we're back to a dead Quid, who I have to think got hit by an Ashe ulti based on the cooldowns.
Yeah. I mean, at the top of the show, we said that this was going to be an all-out brawl between Dignitas and 100 Thieves, who are currently both 1 and 2 in the standings. And between both of these teams, they are not afraid to be throwing hands so far in these 13 minutes, as the Varus ulti is going to connect on the Isles. Still doesn't have flash, and that's an easy jump for River to take him out. But the Q flash from eXyu finds Meech, gets a huge shutdown. Dove looking for the shuriken backflip. It's Tomo that takes out Eyla.
Oh my god. There's just so many squishy targets on either side. If any CC lands, you're just instantly dead, it feels like. Rich now, potentially in a little bit of trouble here. Gonna try to push River off that ward, but I don't know if he wanted to fight.
Yeah.
He's gonna back off.
Yeah, River's ulti was just about to come up, and I'm thinking to myself, Rich, you want to get out ASAP, brother.
Yeah, there's Titanic already done on the other side, so we're gonna see the mid lane kill now. It should just be Ashe Arrow, is my assumption based on the cooldowns. Yeah, Quid, a little bit of the anti-timing there. This time Dove was equal to the task really fast on the E with the shuriken flip. He dodges out on the Azir ulti there. That was Quid looking for a play, trying to scoop him into River, but we're back to top lane, and Rich on the run here from the Trundle ulti.
Subjugate has been popped, and Rich is no longer as tanky as he used to be. eXyu's here for the cleanup, and Rich is buying enough time as he slams River to the wall, and Isles is showing up to the party for an easy 3-on-1.
Nicely done. Even with the Senna ulti cross map, it is not enough. Rich bought so much time. Has that early Frozen Heart he completed, has the bombies, has the tabbies. He's really tanky. Is able to buy enough time, even with that Trundle ulti there, that eXyu shows up, Isles shows up, he makes the first rotation, and that made all the difference as no one goes down there for a dig. And 100 Thieves lose too, but Quid at the very least will be able to push this tower. We'll see if he can finish it off. If he wants to risk it, we know that he can finish it off, but he doesn't necessarily know exactly where everyone is on the map.
Yeah, eXyu without cease and desist is not going to bother wasting his time trying to catch out Quid on the retreat. He figures that he should just be able to get out just fine. Rich, however,
he has to wait out the W.
Something.
Yeah, this is a little bit awkward. That's why he's not dashing away, because he knows that Rich can just W when he does.
Game of chicken.
So he will be able to walk it out.
Quid just waiting out the slows from the Q. He's able to make himself out. Now, Dignitas, it is 15 minutes into the game now. Third dragon is about to spawn in the next minute and a half. It is Cloud Soul, so it's maybe not the most endearing one for 100 Thieves that they could have rolled, but it's still 2 dragons before the next soul condition. I imagine that'll be something that 100 Thieves want to scrap over, at least put a lot of pressure on Dignitas for.
Yeah.
The question is, what do Dignitas need to really do getting ready for this next fight?
Oh, Dignitas looking for an engage. I think they're just going to keep looking for picks. And that is how their comp really excels. Fish with Ashe arrows, look for the follow-up with Vi, you know, hover your solo laners when they're pushing out these side lanes. Continue looking for picks, continue looking for these scrappy plays. You know, 100 Thieves wants to function really as this 5-man unit. I think it can work for Dignitas if they do that, but it's much more difficult to pull off. They really are going to excel in 1v1s and 2v2s and these little skirmishes where they can get the jump on people and burst them down.
The fact that you already called out Meech's cleanse is now gone. Flash is still not available for Meech either, so any of the other hard CC abilities from Dignitas' side, if Meech is caught out unaware, he's got no escape tools to bail him out on the next one.
And you can see eXyu is sitting on the Herald. He has that available, so likely going to use this to try to set up for this next dragon here. They really don't want 100 Thieves to get a quick third dragon. Rich going to TP in very early on to try to maintain presence, maintain pressure in this mid lane, help them to push this up. As he's working in towards his second item, the Herald will get dropped. We'll see if they want to drive it in. eXyu is going to do so. So it will spawn the Void Mites. And it's going to mean a little bit of extra damage comes out from those Void Mites.
Decent amount of damage, even with the proc from the runes as well. eXyu commits cease and desist onto River. He's locked down. The Subjugate does not keep him alive for long enough. Dove has to bail out with his own perfect execution, but now it's the firing on back from Quid and the rest of the backline, 100 Thieves. Can they look for more? Quid dashes in, gets the flash out of Rich, as well as Tomo, and Dignitas are going to back off.
It's a losing fight there, 400 Thieves, but so much damage done by Quid. He played that one really well. Got a 2-man shuffle on the side, chunked down some members, then dashes in, forces out another flash. So even though the kill went the way of Dignitas, it's 100 Thieves that I think potentially could still maintain control here. And more summoners going to be forced there as well. So 100 Thieves, I think, can buy time for River. And I think it might end up being 100 Thieves Dragon, but eXyu's going in.
Q flash from eXyu. He finds his moment, but it's not enough damage by himself onto Meech, so he's forced to bail. Tomo tries to follow up, but he can't step up because Quid and Eyla are zoning him off, and the soldiers will take out Tomo.
Man, Quid is having a great game. eXyu tries to come up big here with this Sundered Sky. Knows he has a lot of burst. Does go in for it, but couldn't get the kill. And now Quid heading up towards top lane, gonna push that out. We'll have TP pretty soon. River's back on the map. So I think we're gonna kind of just be in this rinse and repeat type scenario where both teams are gonna be setting up for the Dragon once again. Dignitas trying to prevent it, but I think 100 Thieves has the better position to go for it. eXyu shows top, and I think this is just gonna be them starting this up. And with Quid having his TP now, it should just be 100 Thieves Dragon.
Can't help but feel that was maybe a little over-eager from Dignitas' side, trying to punish the backline of 100 Thieves. I'm always ready to praise when they are able to make the play out, so I'll hold the criticism, but it definitely feels that Dignitas are reaching the point of desperation in some of these mid-game moments.
Yeah, it's tough, right? And I think it's partially just the nature of their composition, right? When you're looking over at the comp, when you have Jhin, Akali, Vi, you can't fight front to back. You can't just be hitting the Ksante and expect to win. You have to get in on the back line. So that does predicate you taking these more risky fights. As the Ashe arrow gonna sail between Eyla and Quid. And that sure can flip the did connect and amount to nothing, as Dove obviously can't take it in without that CC landing.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, Dove's still in a pretty good spot. He has 2 items completed. We do have, you know, a pretty strong spot as well for eXyu. So Dignitas definitely are not out of it just yet, but the Dragons are absolutely a problem. You know, even though the Cloud Soul proc is pretty terrible for most of the members on the 100 Thieves side, it's really good for Trundle, and then the rest of them still are getting that flat move speed, which is just powerful for every champion in the game.
Right. And it might be confusing for viewers at home if we're talking about, oh, Dignitas don't seem like they have a grasp on this when they technically have a gold lead, but it's not a commanding gold lead. And especially with 100 Thieves composition, this team gets harder to break the later the game goes on as the Azir continues scaling on up. The forms of disengage that they have, it just gets almost impenetrable from the side of Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be chances for Dig. You know, if you get that perfect flank, if you get that perfect angle, you absolutely can, you know, 100-0 some of these squishy members on the 100 Thieves side. But the 1K gold lead meaning a lot less than 3 dragons, and Azir, Trundle, you know, some of these champions are going to be so powerful in the later stages of the game. You know, Trundle really removing a lot of the tankiness of these members over on the other side, and also just going to make himself so much more tanky. And I think that's always one of the things that people really underrate. They talk so much about, oh yeah, Trundle really shreds the other enemy tanks, but it also makes himself very tanky when you're ulting this Poppy. Kind of turns yourself into that bit of a super tank. And you have some pretty respectable damage as well with the Titanic Rush, so
yeah,
we'll see. Dig, though, does have a lot of go buttons. Haven't been able to find too many good Ashe arrows, unfortunately, but it only takes one sometimes. You know, you get that perfect arrow onto someone like Eyla or Quid, you get the 100-0 play, and then all of a sudden, nothing else really matters as far as the position in the game.
Definitely like this pickup from eXyu in the second item. He is basically committing to, once I go in, I'm not going out, so I need to soak up as much damage as possible. The Sterix Gauge, once it's proc, is going to give him that little extra bit of shield. And then just a little bit of damage on top of it as well. It helps him and Dove try and make sure that the lethal point of trying to hit either it's Meech or Eyla or Quid in the mouth actually connects, and it makes the rest of the fight for Dignitas a little bit easier to do. River might be caught out here. Dove connects with the Shuriken backflip, perfect execution, immediate forcing of the subjugate, and that's a trade of ultis between these two players.
Yeah, a trade of ultis back and forth. They realize that the rest of the 100 Thieves squad is around him, so they aren't going to be able to find anything more there. Isles obviously took another swing with his ulti through mid lane, wasn't able to find anyone. Just a relatively low cooldown though,
Quid,
but they have to be a bit careful as it's the TP.
He sees the flank, he sees the angle for the Shurima shuffle. Immediate cease and desist, tries to break up the fight. It gives Tomo enough space to be able to disengage. Isles goes down, but they trade on to Quid. Rich is TP'd as well. He actually just walked from the other sideline, but Dove finds Meech and assassinates him in the backline. Picks up a double onto Eyla. River's in trouble as well, but he's bought enough space. But the rest of Dignitas now have an opportunity to look for this Baron.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to actually feel confident to start it up. Their damage is very low. I don't know how fast they're going to be able to do it. Sniper would have TP if they do start it up. I don't think they can actually go for it. With just a Jhin and a low HP Akali, I don't think you can actually make it happen. But some great plays from Dignitas. They're absorbing the engage. I'm sure we're going to see this replay, but really impressive stuff from eXyu. The ulti from eXyu delayed Quid on the shuffle so much, and that really shut down this play. So here comes the ulti immediately in, then the flash on the flash ulti from Tomo, reacting to it. Those plays right there is really what turns around this fight, because it means not only does Tomo live, but Quid dies very, very quickly. Then on the other side, Dove is just creating chaos. He's in the backline on these squishy targets. If he gets on the Varus, if he gets on the Senna, it's going to be problematic for them. Really great stuff from eXyu, really great stuff from Tomo there, showing off their mechanics, showing off their reaction times, as they're able to answer that flank from Quid, who I think has been having a really strong game. But it's 30 seconds now until Soul.
Another arrow. Meech is forced to flash.
Oh, Dove!
eXyu is right on the sniper, but Dove has found Meech. Rich can also zone the rest of the members away. Keeper's Verdict punts the front line, but Eyla still goes down to Eyla, who is now trying to hunt off Rich. Rich gets rooted up. River and Sniper are back into this fight, and the rest of Dignitas have to trail away before River finds a pillar to make sure that they can get kept in line. And the rest of 100 Thieves are able to bully Dignitas off.
Yeah, 100 Thieves just saying, nope, stop the chase, just go over towards the dragon. That's what we really need to play for here. eXyu and Eyla's going down for just Meech. Yes, Dove does get that kill on the Varus, but it's not gonna amount to much. With no jungler, no real way to be able to contest this, it should be a pretty easy soul grab. 400 Thieves been slowly working towards this end as a winning edition, and now they have it 24 minutes in.
With the extra movement speed, some of these champions like Trundle become so terrifying because as soon as he pops the subjugate, not only he's sapping your stats and your HP, now he gets a flat movement speed boost on top of it. So he gets to run down almost any target that he chooses in these next few fights. Dignitas are starting to run out of options. They've found opportunistic moments where either 100 Thieves have given them an angle or Dignitas just, you know, confidently take a moment. It's like, we just have to flip it at this point, but I don't know how many more of those that are going to get in this game.
Yeah, and it gets even harder, right? Because you're not absolutely perfect on the engage. You don't instantly kill them off. Everyone has 20% move speed, so the kite out, the chase down, going to be that much more difficult to actually deal with, you know, even disregarding the 50% move speed that you get when you pop your ulti. So it is going to be really tough for Dignitas from here. But they do have playmaking. They have to continue looking. You have to continue fishing with these Ashe arrows, looking for these Vi engages, because it's really the only way you can come back. If you play slow from here, you're going to lose the Baron. You're going to lose these objectives. You're going to get choked out of the game. So all they can do is continue looking for plays, continue looking for picks. They have some of these X-Factor champions, right? You nail that Ashe arrow. You pop your ult out a couple people away. And all of a sudden, you know, you have that first pick. You reset the fight. Maybe you can make something happen from there.
It's a harder to execute comp on the side of Dignitas. It's the gamble they took going into this game. And now 25 minutes in, a Cloud Soul on the side of 100 Thieves. Gold lead still somewhat even, while slightly ahead in favor of Dignitas. But 100 Thieves still definitely feel like the stronger composition when it comes to these front-to-back fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the reality is the soul is usually worth around 4,000, 5,000 gold worth of stats. So
yeah,
you know, the gold lead does kind of lie to you at this point because, yes, they do have that slight gold lead, 600 gold on the scoreboard showing in the favor of Dignitas, but 4 dragons plus the soul stats clearly going to be putting the combat power in 100 Thieves' favor. Plus, you have to take in consideration some of the scaling. You know, the Azir definitely getting really strong at this point, you know, working towards that spell penetration now to try to deal with Kaning Rooker and some of these items with Dignitas. Looking for a pick on Eyla.
Cease and desist first, then the Ashe arrow. It guarantees the CC combination to Eyla, but Sniper blocks a couple of the curtain call shots, but he can't block all of them. Tomo finally finds the last one onto Eyla as he's got one more in the tank. He's gonna fire it as no one else was in range. Clean pick for Dignitas, but nothing much more they can transition off of it.
Yeah, it's a decent pick, but at the end of the day, again, I actually think, as funny as it sounds, 100 Thieves are almost in a better spot because of it. Like, you can't actually win the 5v4 because you spent so much to get those kills. So it's going to be 100 Thieves that move into the river, that get the vision around the Baron. You're spending so much to kill off the support. You're spending Ashe arrow, you're spending Vi ult and flash, you're spending the Jhin the ult, the Akali ult. All of these tools means 100 Thieves are the ones that are still out on the map, and now it's Rich that potentially is in trouble.
Rich gets punted towards the rest of 100 Thieves, but he punts River out of the fight. A teleport from Dove, and he's looking for maybe a little bit of damage, but he doesn't have perfect execution, so it's not much lethality or burst from his side to see if he can find any of the backliners from 100 Thieves. Eyla has respawned and is back for the Baron, and we're once again Azael at a standstill.
Yep, a bit of a standstill here. 100 Thieves, again, just continuing to scale, continuing to play towards these objectives. Quid pushing out that side lane. They wanted to look for the pick for Rich. They get the TP as the response from Dove. So at the very least, they force him to use that. Gonna make it much harder for him to play in those side lanes, you know, where he wants to be splitting things up, looking for those skirmishes. And 100 Thieves just maintain control of the map, push out mid, and they're again gonna be likely moving back up to try to get vision around that Baron eventually. We're going to have Elder here in a minute as well, so they can just continue to play through these objectives. That's all they really need to do.
And that's kind of my big flag right now that could be the end of this game. This Elder Dragon is just spawning in under a minute. 100 Thieves have been insanely successful on securing them, setting up vision, and getting posture first before Dignitas. So I wonder if Dignitas are just going to have to force a fight before the Elder even spawns, because you don't want to take the chance of going for the 50-50 instead. You want to create a numbers advantage and find a way to make sure the 100 Thieves just don't have a clean way into the entrance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the ideal world, they find that pick, then they go to the Dragon, they take it, uncontested, but it's going to be really tough because 100 Thieves don't really have to risk anything prior to it spawning, right? They're going to be looking to play very heavily for this, be grouped up as 5, making sure that they're kind of checking all these boxes, and a lot of these third items are starting to come through. Third item already there for Meech, the Crypt Bloom now done for Quid, as he's going to be working towards likely a death cap. Crypt Bloom kind of an interesting item, it feels like has almost entirely replaced Void Staff at this point. It does have a little bit less magic penetration, a little bit less AP, but it has the ability haste, it's cheaper, and it has the heal proc, which can be decent, but it's not really about that heal proc. It's just, really the other stats are quite valuable.
Yeah, just a little more efficient and a little earlier to purchase. Dignitas are the first ones in this river. Elder,
Dove,
I believe, is already available. All eyes are going to be on Dove and eXyu to see if they can get the assassination successful, because the rest of this fight would be so disastrous for them if they just have to play front to back. Sniper and River are just posturing forward and forward. eXyu goes in, sees and desist right on a Quid. Dove lands the shuriken backflip, waits for him to move before he commits. Tomo finds the curtain call onto Quid. That's 1 against 1. eXyu already fell to Meech. The rest of 100 Thieves trying to find Dove. He gets rooted up. The flash does not save him, and the rest of 100 Thieves don't even need Quid because they've got the rest of the backline doing all the damage, as Rich and Isles are forced to split, and the rest of 100 Thieves have routed Dignitas.
100 Thieves crushing through that fight. It was good coordination on the flank by Dig to be able to kill off Quid. But again, they have to spend so much to get that one kill. It has to be eXyu going down, Dove going down. Tomo even had to find that sniper shot to get that kill. And the rest of the 100 Thieves squad are tearing through you all the while. 100 Thieves now posturing to try to end the game right here, right now. It's up to Isles and Rich.
7 seconds on eXyu, 16 on both Dove and Tomo. 2-man defense from Rich and Isles. Rich kills the wave, as you call it out. They get 1 Nexus turn. The rest of 100 Thieves are backing up. A teleport is coming in from Quid, but Sniper is really low on HP. Rich moves forward, tries to see if he can get it a pick here. But 100 Thieves are going to make a clean getaway. No one goes down. And they might have time to look for Elder.
This is really awkward, though, because no, I think they actually have to reset with them being that low. So I think it's actually Dig who can go for Elder. So this is potentially a little bit of a mistake here for 100 Thieves. They made the read that they can end the game. They couldn't actually end the game. And now Dig has a chance to try to rush down this Elder. I think they need to be going right for it. This is maybe one of the only ways you can have a chance of coming back into this game, because if you could secure this, you could win a fight. But they're very slow to start it up. They're not actually on it still. And I think the 100 Thieves is probably going to get here to contest. We'll see if they can. If Dig gets this, this is their window to win the game.
This is going to be close. 100 Thieves are now finally all here. They're entering through that mid-line brush as well. Dove is waiting in the wings once again, but he has no flash. Sniper routes off Rich as well. Isles is completely cut off the fight. Arrow goes in. Dove is trying to find the perfect execution as well. Quid goes down. Tomo's firing off all the curtain call bullets as well. Looking for one more. They find Rich. This could be big for Dignitas. Dove is in the back line. Does a decent amount of damage. It's all of the Sniper to protect the rest of this back line. All the rookies have to make sure that they can stay alive here for 100 Thieves, but Rich is still leading the charge. Sniper's too low to hold the line, and Dignitas are bullying 100 Thieves out of the pit, but neither of them seem to be able to take the Elder.
But look at mid lane. This is so tough, right? Because Dignitas, kind of wins the fight based on HP, but they have to go back and defend their base. There's so many supers stacking up, and there's only the 1 Nexus tower. This is going to be very, very difficult for them to really be able to get anything done here. So they just have to base, they have to reset, they have to try to do it once again. Dignitas kind of pulling off a bit of a miracle in that fight. It's the slimmest of margins that allow some of these 100 Thieves members to limp away. Meech almost gets done against the wall at one point. It looked like Eyla almost done against the wall at one point as well. Had they gone down, it could have been a completely different story, but now it is 100 Thieves back out on the map, starting up this Elder. It's Dignitas trying to race out here, trying to find some way to stop this. Dove does have his TP. He's up now, but is there even a good ward? There is one deep ward above where Rich is that he could actually look to TP to, but it's not the best flank angle because 100 Thieves are kind of kiting this down. So Isles is trying to get around, trying to look for an ulti angle here. We'll see if the Ashe Arrow can find any key targets.
Yeah, that pink ward is going to spot Dove as soon as he rounds the corner of that blue buff. 100 Thieves has set up a fortress right now in that tri-bush, but the Elder is going down 6,000 HP. Ashe Arrow lands on the river. He's forced to retreat. Sniper's getting taken low as well. They turn their fire. Sniper's forced to retreat. 3,000 HP. River, does he look for the steal? He's going to go in. 2,000 HP. It's the flip. eXyu lands it. The Elder buff is now there for Dignitas. They look for the execute, but not the power of Elder is enough for them as 100 Thieves are still winning out the fight. Rich is forced to TP. Does he have pillar to interrupt it? No. He gets back in time, but Quid is still on the chase looking for Dove and Isles has got nowhere to run. It's a sacrificial lamb for Dignitas as Dove is able to make his retreat. 100 Thieves, do they just rush to try and end the game right here, Azael?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think they could try to go for it. It looks like they're pinging towards Baron, but there's long death timers. I think they maybe could have gone towards mid. I think they're a little bit gun shy because of what happened last time and the fact that that one wave was getting cleared out, so they would have had to wait for the next wave. Potentially could have tried to go for it, but this is definitely the safer of the calls. Either way, it is Dig taking that Elder, but almost all the Elder buffs are already gone because pretty much everyone died with it. It's just Dove and Rich that do still have that available. And Dig, I'm really impressed with how they're actually being able to play out some of these fights, making it a lot closer than I would have expected, being able to find some good angles. And 100 Thieves kind of letting them bully them out of the river a little bit. Was pretty surprised by that, you know, especially with Isles not really able to find any good targets with his ult. It's like, it's so hard for him to actually find any sort of a target because you have 2 Edge of Nights, you have the Cleanse, you have Merc Treads, and then 2 tanks in the front line. Like, basically, it has to be the Azir, that's it.
Yeah, it's definitely surprising that Dignitas somehow fought off this fortress comp that we've set up from the beginning of this game to be, you know, such an impenetrable thing the later the game goes on. But in that one moment, it seemed like the front line was taking a lot of damage and soaking up, but there was no real damage being done by the back line of 100 Thieves. It didn't feel like they felt safe to walk up.
I mean, I felt like once they walked back into that tri-brush down towards bot lane, then you can't really walk back in because you've kind of already ceded position. But, you know, what I would question is, did they have to actually retreat that far back in that case? You know, clearly they're very worried about the flank. They're trying to make sure that Dove isn't coming from behind, that eXyu isn't coming from behind, but that meant that they all retreated so far back that they couldn't actually enter back into the fight. River did get a chance at a 50-50, but it was obviously a very awkward approach to that dragon, and I'm not even sure if he was in smite range when it did go down or not, but he did run up and obviously try. 100 Thieves, though, on the marsh here. They have the Baron buff. Not great wave clear over on the Dignitas side. And they're going to be TPing in, trying to see if they can force any sort of a play.
Sniper's the first one in. There's still a couple of Elder buffs available on Dove.
Look at Rich. He's kind of getting pounded.
Rich is getting chunked as well. He's forced to flash the Tonic Shadow. It's enough. The Subjugate is what finished him off. And now 5-on-4. Dignitas trying to hold strong against the rest of 100 Thieves. They easily crush this inhibitor, and they've got 2 empowered cannon minions. eXyu goes in, looks for Quid, but he's got the stasis from Zhonya's, keeps him alive. Ashe Arrow into the current call, it's not enough damage. Dove looks for the perfect execution, but perfect timing from Quid on the Emperor's Divide. Keeps Dove out of the fight and takes him out. 100 Thieves might just be able to finish this game.
It looks like they're going to do it. Quid with a beautiful ulti. They're rejecting that perfect execution. Tomo's going to go down. It's only Isles remaining, and he will not be enough. 100 Thieves closing this one out, moving to 2-2 after 2 weeks. It got a little bit tense.
Yeah,
it got a little bit tense.
I was about to say the relief from Meech. Man just looked like he just got back from the war. It's like, oh my god, that was brutal. Oh man.
He was in the trenches against Dignitas. You know, I do think 100 Thieves probably thought that was going to be a kind of clean, easy one at a certain point. You know, once they got the soul, they were looking totally in control. But Dignitas doing a good job finding some engages, really pressuring them heavily, utilizing the playmaking that they had to make it tough for 100 Thieves. But at the end of the day, 100 Thieves equal to the task. They get their second win here. And they're kind of handling business, I think, a lot better than people did expect coming into the season.
Yeah.
People largely had them, myself included, fairly low in the power rankings. Yes, they are 2-2, but their only losses are to Energy and C9, you know, 2 of the top projected teams on the table.
Yeah, Golden Glue mentioned it. We only lost to the top team so far.